New moon in Pisces. This is the first new moon that is not an eclipse since the new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius. Basically what that means is it's closing the eclipse window, and now we get to begin the journey of integrating what we've experienced in the last month. So with the eclipses now behind us until August, the Pisces new moon invites us to tidy up any loose ends and clear space for fresh energies that are preparing to arrive. We're right on the brink of everything changing because we got Mercury retrograde is ending, we got the spring equinox coming in, and Aries coming in. So it's three things. You know, every time I'm looking at these things, it's like, oh my God, there's so much. Why is there so much? And it's just so relevant because of everything that's going on these days. It just seems like there's so much of everything. There's too much of everything. This new moon is the final new moon of the astrological year because Aries starts the astrological year. It is the first sign. So it carries a natural sense of closure while helping us to prepare for new beginnings. So again, there's that edge. We're right on that edge of, then and now. So things are a-changing. So we are not supposed to have all the answers right now. And one of the things that this new moon reminds us of, because remember the new moon is also, it's dark. We are reminded that seeds grow in the dark. And the first stages of their growth are not visible to the eye. So this new moon does not demand immediate action, but rather it invites us to deepen our receptivity and refine our alignment with what is true before we set an intention, act on a vision, or make a move. So again, remember, new moon, we're going to set some intentions, but we're going to do some more releasing first to finalize anything that needs to be released so that we can bring in the new and set those intentions. So that's kind of where I'm going to try to have this meditation take us to. So Pisces, last sign of the zodiac, and with that comes the theme of release. So this new moon, it's inviting us to clear space emotionally, mentally, and energetically so we can move into the next cycle with greater clarity. When we work with Pisces energy, the focus is not necessarily on doing more, but letting go of what has run its course. There may be a natural pull under this moon to reflect on the past 12 months and everything it has brought up for us. So what patterns have been repeating, what emotions or experiences still feel unresolved. Pisces energy can help us bring compassion and acceptance to these areas so we can finally release them. Thank God, I'm done with it all too. This clearing process is especially significant because 2 days later, on March 20th, we have the equinox. So the equinox marks the beginning of the astrological new year as the sun moves into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. So in many ways, this Pisces new moon is preparing the ground for that shift. Before a new cycle begins, we need to make room for it. This moon will be felt more personally by those born with personal placements in the late degrees of the mutable signs. So Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And I think you guys were the ones hit last time too. They're going through a threshold moment in their lives, experiencing both endings and beginnings simultaneously. So you guys in particular are invited to trust that what is dissolving is making space for something more aligned with who we are becoming. We are being asked to release the old with grace and be very intentional with what we are initiating. This new moon can feel quieter or more introspective compared to other new moons. Instead of pushing forward with plans or goals, we may feel guided to slow down and reconnect with our inner world. Pisces energy is deeply intuitive and works through feeling, imagination, and subtle awareness rather than logic alone. So it's not really surprising that everyone is tired. It's basically we're being forced to slow down. Because what happens when you're tired? You gotta sleep, you gotta rest, you gotta take a break, take some time, right? So there are 7 celestial bodies and water signs. So there's a very big water influence surrounding this moon, which can heighten our sensitivity to the energy. So this makes it a powerful time for intuitive practices, creativity, and dream work. Messages can arrive through symbols, emotions, or sudden insights, especially when we give ourselves space to listen. Watch for synchronicities too. That's also relevant here. Our thoughts may also feel more powerful under this lunation. Pisces reminds us that the mind and imagination are closely linked with the energetic field around us. The ideas, beliefs, and narratives we hold can influence what we attract and create moving forward. So talking about that, one of the things I wanted to look up, and I did see something recently about the Schumann resonance. All I know is that what I had seen was something to the effect of, in the past 11 days, 9 days have been off the charts with this energy. So I think I got to look at that a little bit more closely. I think it deserves another, like a little bit of investigation. So with that, the equinox and the start of the astrological new year, this new moon offers the opportunity to begin thinking about the intentions that we want to carry into the next cycle. So another thing that's interesting about this is we use what's called the Gregorian calendar. So Pope Gregory changed it. We used to use the Julian calendar. And I'm not entirely sure what the Julian calendar was. I don't want to go into specifics of that right now. But if you look at the calendar, October, Oct is the prefix for 8. November, NOV is the prefix for 9. And December, DEC, is the prefix for 10. So October, November, and December should have been the 8th, 9th, and 10th months. So January would be 11, February would be 12, March would be 13, and then April would be the first month. So it kind of makes sense, like when you look at it that way, the astrological new year starting in, or with Aries, which is predominantly in April, this makes a whole lot of sense. And then that is when the spring comes in, and that's when new life begins. So it kind of makes a whole lot of sense. I don't know who this Pope Gregory was, and I don't know why he changed it, but just an interesting little tidbit of information that I came across. So anyways, more about Pisces now. So Pisces is the Alpha and the Omega. It's the place where everything ends and begins. It's where we come from and where we're going. So this sign rules the unseen, mystical dimension of life, a place where boundaries do not exist, where we surrender our personal will and ego to forces that are much greater than us. So a chapter of our journey is coming to a completion, and simultaneously a new one is starting. So we are reminded that time is not linear, that endings are often blended with beginnings, and seeds need darkness in order to grow. So we're like right there. We have to cultivate this trust into the unseen, these seeds that are in the dark that are going to come up, obviously, right? So Pisces is not as energizing and action-oriented as many other new moons. This one is less about setting rigid goals and outcome-oriented intentions, and more about coming to a place of stillness and presence, making sure we act in alignment with how we aspire to feel, with the inner state we wish to cultivate. We are entering a lunar month focused on creating a new relationship with spirit, with the divine, and renovating the way we approach and integrate our spiritual practice in our everyday life. These days, our sensitivity is heightened. We feel more impacted by everything happening in the collective field, and more information comes through in dreams or reaches us through symbolism and synchronicities. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, and there is a Neptune and Saturn connection here. They've been traveling very closely to each other. And now Saturn is starting to separate from Neptune. And both of these planets are now entering their new phase in Aries, the first sign. And this is going to be the beginning of a new 36-year cycle. And we're in the very, very early stages of it. So this is the time to plant those seeds, to pursue the new visions, to begin new endeavors, start walking on familiar paths, and discover new possibilities. This Saturn-Neptune conjunction is an invitation to set something completely new into motion. This alignment asks us to assert ourselves with maturity and to take full responsibility for ourselves and our dreams. As we are dealing with Neptune, a very mystical planet, and Saturn, a very pragmatic one. One is very much emotional, one is very much logical, so feeling and thought. And we already determined that these water people have this general fight all the time because these two things are always at odds. We are being asked to ground our visions in reality and dream with our eyes open and our feet well planted on the earth. It's a time to bring new visions into form while making sure we do so through devotion rather than force. Uranus and Pluto are also factoring in here. So Uranus fosters innovation and it supports our ability to creatively adapt to change. It's also referred to as the Great Awakener. Uranus rules sudden flashes of genius, downloads, insights, and visions that allow us to jump from a timeline to another in a matter of seconds. Uranus's harmonious alignment with this new moon facilitates this process of materializing our visions and setting something radically new into motion during the upcoming cycle. There's also a wider aspect to Pluto, the planet ruling the deepest transformational processes that is now in Aquarius. So Pluto's activation invites profound emotional and psychological self-work and helps us access a deeper understanding of our and others' true motives, intentions, and desires. The connection between the new moon and Pluto increases the transformative potential of this, both on a collective level and for each of us personally. So in Aquarius, Pluto reminds us that personal and collective healing are not separate. One naturally ripples into the other, into the larger web of relationships and the communities that we are part of. It's a good time to set your intentions to evolve or grow your spiritual practice, whatever that looks like for you, whether that would be establishing or reestablishing your connection to your higher self, your guides, your ancestors, the divine, however that looks like for you. So meditating, journaling, just sitting in silence, being an observer, whatever that means for you. This is a really good time to begin to focus on these practices again. So we have Jupiter, the ancient ruler of Pisces, is now in Cancer, and it's forming a square with Aries. So this generally fosters a feeling of warmth and optimism, and it invites us to be mindful of the dangers of overgenerosity. Venus-Jupiter can emphasize the friction between our preferences and our needs, and highlights the importance of nourishing ourselves before we nourish others. We are urged to keep our friends close and avoid engaging with enemies and frenemies. Some people can be, disappointing, which is exactly why we should surround ourselves with those we trust and who support us. The temptation to converse or communicate with those that do not have our best interests at heart is high, because Venus and Jupiter is going to push us to believe in others when we should be a little bit suspicious of their intentions. So think of it this way: if people can't love us at our worst, they don't deserve us at our best. This mindset will help us weed out those who are undeserving of our kindness, friendship, loyalty, and partnership. So Jupiter is also, there's a trine between Mars and retrograde Mercury, both in Pisces. So the Jupiter-Mars alignment supports our energy levels, our willingness to act on our ideals and visions, and our desire to pursue the path of growth. This fosters our courage and our ability to pair it with emotional wisdom we've been gaining during Jupiter's transit through Cancer. Meanwhile, this trine between the retrograde Mercury and Jupiter inspires us to look at something from a radically different perspective and could fuel the emergence of new intuitive insights and ideas. Being asked to trust that what we surrender is not lost. Everything we let go of is making space for something more meaningful, something more aligned with our authentic self. As old identities and ambitions dissolve, new longings and desires begin to arise, quietly, still in an undefined form. The Pisces new moon reminds us that progress can't be rushed, that seeds grow in the dark, that they need time to sprout, and that when it looks like nothing is happening, there's a lot going on underneath the surface. So, just as a bit of a summary here, rather than focusing only on specific goals, this new moon is encouraging us to tune into the bigger picture of how we want our lives to feel. Pisces energy works best when we allow space for intuition and creativity to guide the process. One helpful way to move through this new moon is by paying attention to your energetic body. Notice what feels draining, heavy, or stagnant, and consider what steps you can take to release it. This might mean setting stronger boundaries, letting go of old expectations, or simply allowing yourself time to rest and reset. Practices that support energetic clearing can also be helpful. Journaling, meditation, spending time near water, or any creative activity that allows emotions and ideas to flow freely can be supportive during this time. Ultimately, the Pisces new moon is about preparation. It asks us to release what we no longer need so we can step into the new astrological year with more space, clarity, and intention. By the time the equinox arrives on the 20th, we may find ourselves feeling lighter, more grounded, and more aware of the direction we want to move next. The caution at this time is that optimism and growth can lead to decadence and debauchery if we aren't careful. Still, overexuberance can make us super indulgent and excessive, so finding a middle ground and balance is important to overdoing it. It's an interesting time because the current Pisces stelliums, remember stellium is a cluster of planets in the same size, is currently during this new moon we've got the Sun, the Moon, Mercury retrograde, and Mars, and the North Node of Destiny. We get this idealistic punch that bends to escapism. Knowing how to deal with this dreamy energy is going to be challenging. We want to be selfless, but boundaries must be crossed since others will persist in getting their way. The same applies to how we handle ourselves too. An understanding that drawing a line in the sand and setting limits is a form of self-protection and defensive magic. Letting go of the negative people who influence our aura will be uplifting, creating space and place where we can cultivate positive relationships with others and ourselves that are emotionally enriching. So Mercury's moonwalk, because it's retrograde in Pisces, offers a chance to reflect. However, we must not get caught up in the past. It will be hard to remain present, even though it is necessary. Our hearts yearn to make amends with those we've hurt or who've wronged us. Being aware that it's probably not in our best interest to welcome some of them back with open arms is pivotal. Meditating on feelings and listening to our gut is vital. A leopard rarely changes its spots. Knowing this can be a form of self-preservation as it helps us to be cautious before taking action. Paying attention to what the universe is showing us is a pearl of wisdom that will get us through the new moon. So that one little line I said before totally sums this up. If people can't love us at our worst, they don't deserve us at our best. This mindset will help us weed out those who are undeserving of our kindness, friendship, loyalty, and partnership. And I think if we keep that in mind, we can kind of get through this next phase of time a little bit easier and probably more unscathed. Now for the signs, and there's a lot of information for each of these, so it's going to take a few minutes to get through. So remember, this is for your sun, moon, or rising. So, Aries. If you've been feeling like you're halfway between who you used to be and who you're becoming, this week is the bridge. The March 18th new moon activates your healing zone, offering a quiet but powerful reset after the chaos of eclipse season. This is less about launching something visible and more about releasing the emotional weight you've been carrying behind the scenes. What makes this new moon especially interesting is its harmonious sextile to Uranus and Taurus, which sits in your money and self-worth sector. Translation: when you let go of outdated fears or patterns, it directly unlocks new opportunities around income, confidence, and how you value yourself. Healing your mindset is a real upgrade here. Then comes the cosmic moment you've been waiting for. So on March 20th, the sun enters Aries, kicking off your birthday season and the astrological new year. And the vibes are intense in the best way. There's a major stellium in your sign, with the sun joined by Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron, creating a rare concentration of energy in your identity zone. Think of this as the universe putting a spotlight directly on you. This is your chance to redefine how you show up in the world, whether that means leveling up your confidence, stepping into leadership, or finally pursuing something you've been quietly dreaming about. The key with this much Aries energy is intentionality. You don't need to prove yourself. You just need to embody the version of you that already knows who you are. And the timing gets even better. On March 20th, Mercury finally stations direct in Pisces, ending its retrograde in your solitude sector. If the past few weeks have felt like an emotional highlight reel of old memories, doubts, or unfinished conversations, consider this the closing scene. The healing work has been happening behind the scenes, and now you get to move forward with clarity. No more replaying old stories or questioning your growth. This is the beginning of your Aries 2.0 era, and the difference this time is that you're moving forward with both courage and emotional wisdom. That's the kind of glow up that lasts. Taurus. If your social life has felt a little glitchy lately, this week begins to clear the static. The new moon activates your social network zone, offering a reset after weeks of Mercury retrograde confusion in the same area. You may have taken a step back from certain friendships or realized that some connections felt more draining than supportive. That clarity is the point. This new moon helps you focus on the people who genuinely feel like a yes, whether that means strengthening existing bonds or attracting new ones. The next 6 months can bring a much more satisfying sense of belonging and collaboration. The cosmic mood shifts inward as Aries season begins on March 20th, and with a powerful stellium in Aries lighting up your healing and solitude zone. The work here is emotional, but it doesn't have to be heavy. Aries energy reminds you that healing doesn't always look like sitting in your feelings for hours or analyzing every past moment. Sometimes it looks like movement, creativity, laughter, or simply choosing to be present in your body. This season encourages you to treat growth like an active process rather than a burden. Go for the workout, create the art, take the walk, start the thing that brings you back into the moment. Your healing journey is real, but it's also allowed to be dynamic, playful, and non-linear. If group chats, collaborations, or online interactions felt confusing or slightly off for the past few weeks, clarity begins returning now. Ideas flow more easily, conversations feel less tangled, and you may find it easier to express your vision within communities that matter to you. It's not about forcing your voice into every space. It's about recognizing which circles actually value what you have to say. Gemini. The universe is basically asking you one question this week. Are you ready to be seen? The new moon activates your career and long-term legacy sector, marking a powerful reset around your public path. Over the past few weeks, Mercury retrograde in this area may have made work feel confusing or slower than expected. Maybe projects stalled, plans changed, or you found yourself questioning whether you were even heading in the right direction. This new moon suggests that clarity comes when you trust your intuition instead of trying to over-strategize every move. The next 6 months can bring surprising professional opportunities or visibility, but only if you're willing to believe you're actually ready for them. Then the energy gets more social and exciting as Aries season begins, lighting up your friendship, community, and collaboration sector. And it's not just the sun moving through Aries. With that powerful stellium, your chart is buzzing with activity. Translation, your network matters more than ever right now. The people you connect with, collaborate with, and brainstorm with could play a huge role in your next chapter. Aries energy encourages you to show up boldly in these spaces. Share your ideas, pitch the project, send the message. This is less about waiting for permission and more about claiming your seat at the table. Later that same day, when Mercury stations direct, which is especially meaningful for you since Mercury is your ruling planet, the mental fog around career decisions begins lifting. Conversations with bosses or collaborations become clearer, and plans that felt stalled can finally move forward. Think of this moment as the end of the rehearsal phase. The real performance is starting, and this time you actually know your lines. Cancer. If the past few weeks made you feel like your worldview was being rearranged piece by piece, it wasn't your imagination. The new moon in Pisces activates your expansion and higher learning zone, offering a breath of fresh air after the emotional intensity of eclipse season. Mercury retrograde may have had you questioning your direction, your beliefs, or even your long-term plans. Perhaps a trip was delayed, a project paused, or a big idea needed more time to develop. This new moon suggests that the answers you're looking for may come through surprising conversations or inspiring connections within your community. Over the next 6 months, you may feel called to study something new, travel somewhere meaningful, or simply expand your mindset in ways that help you see life from a broader perspective. Then the focus shifts to your ambitions as Aries season begins, activating your career and legacy sector for the next 4 weeks. And it's not just about the sun, it's that stellium in Aries as well. This is one of the most pivotal professional moments of the year for you. You may be redefining what success actually means, stepping into leadership roles, or finally committing to a path that feels both purposeful and authentic. Aries energy asks you to move boldly rather than waiting for every detail to feel perfect. Sometimes clarity comes after the first brave step. Later, when Mercury ends its retrograde, helping the bigger picture finally make sense again, plans that felt uncertain begin to move forward. Conversations about travel, education, or publishing gain traction, and your confidence in your own vision grows stronger. Think of the past few weeks as the cosmic brainstorming phase. The universe is asking you to now start building the future you've been quietly dreaming about. Leo. The emotional depth you've been navigating lately hasn't been random, and this week helps you understand why. The new moon activates your transformation and intimacy sector, a part of your chart that deals with shared resources, emotional vulnerability, and the deeper bonds that require trust. Mercury retrograde may have brought up complicated conversations around money, commitment, or emotional reciprocity. Maybe you noticed where you've been overgiving, under-receiving, or holding on to dynamics that needed clearer boundaries. This new moon suggests that real empowerment comes from restructuring the way you share energy, finances, and emotional labor. Over the next 6 months, you may feel more confident renegotiating agreements or stepping into a partnership that feels truly balanced. Then the energy shifts dramatically as Aries season begins on March 20th, lighting up your expansion and long journey sector. And with Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron all gathered in Aries, this part of your life is buzzing with momentum. You might feel inspired to travel, study something meaningful, launch a new idea, or simply step outside the comfort zone you've been sitting in for too long. Aries energy reminds you that life gets bigger when you take courageous leaps of faith. The next 4 weeks are about reconnecting with your sense of adventure and remembering that your story is meant to keep evolving. Later, when Mercury stations direct, helping conversations around finances, emotional commitments, and shared responsibilities start to make more sense. If the past few weeks brought confusion around money matters, investments, or deeper expectations within a relationship, clarity begins returning now. Think of it as the end of an emotional audit. You're learning how to protect your power while still allowing the right people to truly meet you there. Virgo. After weeks of emotional intensity around relationships, the sky finally offers a reset. The new moon lands directly in your partnership sector, marking a fresh chapter in how you connect with others one-on-one. Mercury retrograde may have brought misunderstandings, resurfacing exes, or moments where you questioned whether certain relationships were truly aligned with the person you're becoming. This new moon reminds you that the most fulfilling connection are the ones that allow you to grow and evolve. Over the next 6 months, you may see shifts in how you approach commitment, collaboration, and emotional reciprocity. The key isn't perfection. It's honesty about what you actually need from the people closest to you. Then the focus moves deeper as Aries season begins on March 20th, activating your transformation, intimacy, and shared resources sector. And with the Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron stellium in Aries, this is a powerful period for redefining trust and emotional vulnerability. You may be working through financial arrangements, deepening a bond with someone who truly understands you, or confronting fears around letting others see your full emotional world. Aries energy encourages you to approach these topics with courage rather than caution. Growth here doesn't come from overanalyzing every possibility. It comes from choosing to step into the experience and trusting that you can handle whatever unfolds. Later, Mercury stations direct, which is especially meaningful for you since Mercury is your ruling planet. The fog surrounding relationship conversations begins to clear, making it easier to express your needs and hear others more clearly too. If the past few weeks felt like emotional deja vu, think of this moment as the end of the replay. The next chapter of your relationships isn't about repeating old patterns, it's about building something more conscious and intentional. Libra. If your routines have felt a little chaotic lately, this week offers a reset. The new moon activates your work, health, and daily habit sector, helping you reorganize the systems that keep your life running. Mercury retrograde may have made your schedule feel messy, your energy levels inconsistent, or your motivation a bit harder to access. Maybe you've been realizing that certain habits no longer support the life you're trying to build. This new moon encourages you to make small but meaningful changes that can have long-term impact. Over the next 6 months, you may find new rhythms around work, wellness, and productivity that feel more sustainable and aligned with your evolving priorities. Then the spotlight shifts to your relationships as Aries season begins on March 20th, activating your partnership zone. With the Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron stellium in Aries, your one-on-one connections are entering a significant period of growth. You may be redefining what commitment looks like, setting clearer boundaries, or attracting people who challenge you to show up more authentically. Aries energy asks you to meet others with honesty and courage rather than trying to keep everything perfectly balanced. Sometimes the healthiest relationships are the ones where both people are willing to be real. Later, when Mercury stations direct in Pisces, bringing clarity back to your routines and work conversations. If communication with coworkers, clients, or collaborators felt tangled Over the past few weeks, things begin to move forward again. Plans that were delayed can start gaining traction and your mental focus returns. Think of it as the moment when the puzzle pieces finally begin fitting together again. The more you prioritize systems that genuinely support your well-being, the easier it becomes to show up fully for everything else in your life. Scorpio. The emotional fog around love, creativity, and joy is finally beginning to lift. The new moon activates your romance, pleasure, and self-expression sector, offering a fresh start after weeks of Mercury retrograde confusion in this part of your life. Maybe you've been revisiting old feelings, questioning what truly brings you happiness, or realizing that certain dynamics were draining your creative energy instead of inspiring it. This new moon suggests that surprising developments in relationships or collaborations could reignite your spark. Over the next 6 months, you may rediscover passions, hobbies, or romantic possibilities that remind you of what it feels like to be genuinely excited about life again. Then the focus shifts to your routines and well-being as Aries season begins, activating your health and daily habits sector. With Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron all gathered here, this part of your life is undergoing a powerful reset. You may feel called to restructure your schedule, commit to habits that support your physical and emotional health, or take your work responsibilities more serious in a way that actually empowers you rather than exhausts you. Aries energy encourages you to take action rather than overthink the process. Small, consistent choices now can completely transform your daily life over the coming months. Later that day, Mercury stations direct, bringing clarity back to matters of the heart and your creative expression. If the past few weeks brought mixed signals in dating, emotional misunderstandings, or creative blocks, things begin flowing again. Conversations feel more honest, inspiration returns, and you may notice your confidence rising as you reconnect with what truly lights you up. This moment reminds you that joy isn't something you have to chase. It's something you allow yourself to experience when you stop dimming your own fire. Sagittarius. If the past few weeks felt like an emotional deja vu at home or within family dynamics, you weren't imagining it. The new moon activates your roots and emotional foundation sector, offering a reset after Mercury retrograde stirred up old memories, unresolved conversations, or questions about where you truly feel safe and supported. Maybe you've been reflecting on living situations, family relationships, or the deeper emotional patterns that shape how you nurture yourself. This new moon harmonizing with Uranus and Taurus suggests that small but meaningful changes in your daily routines or environment could create a ripple effect of stability. Over the next 6 months, you may redefine what home means, whether that's emotionally, physically, or within your closest relationships. Then the energy becomes much lighter as Aries season begins, activating your romance and pleasure zone. And with Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron all gathered in Aries, this part of your life is buzzing with activity. Translation: your inner child wants the microphone again. Aries energy encourages you to flirt with life, take creative risks, and reconnect with the things that genuinely make you feel alive. Whether that's dating, creating art, performing, or simply having more fun with the people you love, this season reminds you that joy isn't a distraction from your purpose. Sometimes it is the purpose. Later, Mercury stations direct, helping conversations around home and family begin to move forward again. If misunderstandings, delays, or emotional confusion surfaced recently within your private life, clarity begins returning now. Plans related to living situations, family matters, or personal boundaries may finally start making sense. This moment is about realizing that your foundation doesn't have to be perfect to be strong. It just has to be honest. Capricorn. If communication has felt unusually messy lately, the universe is finally clearing the signal. The new moon activates your communication sector, offering a reset after Mercury retrograde, likely tangled conversations, plans, and schedules. Maybe emails went unanswered, texts were misunderstood, or ideas you were trying to express just didn't land the way you intended. This new moon suggests that a new perspective or unexpected conversation could shift everything. Over the next 6 months, you may discover new ways of expressing yourself, sharing your ideas, or even finding a tool that expands your voice and confidence. Then the energy turns towards your roots as Aries season begins, activating your home, family, and private life sector for the next 4 weeks. With Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron all gathered here, this area of your life is entering a powerful period of growth and restructuring. You may be thinking more seriously about your living situation, your emotional boundaries with family, or what kind of environment truly supports your long-term goals. Aries energy encourages you to take initiative rather than waiting for things to resolve themselves. Creating a strong foundation now can make everything else in your life feel more stable. Later that same day, Mercury stations direct, bringing clarity back to your conversations, plans, and daily logistics. If the past few weeks brought confusion around travel plans, contracts, or important discussions, things begin moving forward again. Your ideas feel easier to articulate, and the responses you've been waiting for may finally arrive. This moment reminds you that your voice carries more influence than you sometimes realize. The clearer you are about what you want to communicate, the easier it becomes for others to meet you there. Aquarius. The universe is asking you to rethink your relationship with value, and not just financially. The new moon activates your zone of money and security, offering a reset after Mercury retrograde may have stirred up questions about income, stability, or how much your time and energy are truly worth. Maybe you've been reviewing budgets, reconsidering certain professional choices, or realizing that some situations aren't valuing your contributions the way they should. This new moon suggests that changes happening in your home or personal foundation could unexpectedly influence your financial direction. Over the next 6 months, you may redefine what security really means to you and make decisions that align more closely with your long-term values. Then the pace of life begins picking up as Aries starts, activating your communication sector for the next 4 weeks. With Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron all in Aries, this part of your life is buzzing with conversations, collaborations, and new ideas. You may feel inspired to write, speak, teach, share your perspective, or connect with people in your community who spark your curiosity. Aries energy encourages you to speak boldly rather than overthinking every word. The right people will resonate with your authenticity. Later that same day, Mercury stations direct, helping financial and practical conversations begin moving forward again. If negotiations, payments, or work-related discussions felt delayed or confusing recently, clarity starts returning now. Opportunities may appear through conversations you weren't expecting, and ideas about how to grow your income or stability begin making more sense. This moment reminds you that your value isn't just measured by what you produce, but by how confidently you recognize your own worth. Pisces. This week feels like a personal reset button for your entire identity. The new moon lands in your sign, giving you a powerful opportunity to redefine how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. Mercury retrograde may have had you second-guessing decisions, revisiting old emotions, or feeling like you were moving through a foggy version of yourself. But the reflection had a purpose. This new moon suggests that one conversation, idea, or realization could shift your mindset in a liberating way. Over the next 6 months, you're being invited to step into a version of yourself that feels more authentic, intuitive, and aligned with the life you're trying to build. Then the focus shifts towards stability as Aries season begins, activating your money, security, and self-worth sector for the next 4 weeks. With Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron all gathered in Aries, you're entering a powerful chapter of redefining your relationship with abundance. You may be thinking more seriously about how you earn, how you spend, and how you value your time and energy. Aries energy encourages you to take initiative rather than waiting for opportunities to find you. When you believe in your worth, you naturally start making decisions that support it. Later that same day, Mercury stations direct, bringing mental clarity and confidence back to your personal plans. If the past few weeks felt like a period of introspection, emotional processing, or rethinking who you are becoming, the fog finally begins to lift. Conversations flow more easily, decisions feel clearer, and you may notice a renewed sense of direction returning. Think of this moment as the end of the rehearsal. The version of you that's been quietly evolving behind the scenes is now ready to step forward. A lot of stuff this time. So now we'll go into a little bit of a meditation. And what I wanted to do with this one was, so last time we did a meditation to kind of like look in our bodies and see where we were holding on to dis-ease or pain or something that was negatively impacting us. And then we had a discussion with that part of our body to see what we could do to make things better. So I want to go back and kind of do that again and get rid of anything else that's there, and then leave the space for what we need to set our intentions for and what we need going forward, because we're at that precipice, we're on the fence where, you know, the end was there and we're going to be falling into the new. So I want to set us up for that so that we're in a good space to do that. So with that said, find yourself a comfortable position. Take a deep, relaxing breath in, gently and slowly exhale. Take another deep breath in, hold it for 4, and then release it softly. Your body is at ease, soft and pliable. You are safe, and you feel yourself relaxing deeper and deeper with each slow breath. As you scan down your body, I want you to notice any place that you are holding on to any past tension, pain, or trauma. Beginning with the crown of your head, take a deep breath in and notice any tension. Notice the muscles around your face, temples, and jaw. Don't clench your teeth. Let your tongue rest gently on the roof of your mouth. Take another deep breath in and become aware of any tension or discomfort in your neck and shoulders. Continue breathing in gently and exhale gently. Let your shoulders drop, becoming soft and relaxed. Let this feeling of relaxation spread down your arms and into your fingers, down your chest and abdomen, noticing where you are holding any tension or have any pain. Let yourself relax. Continue scanning your back and spine. Notice anything there. Continue to your hips and lower abdominal area. Notice any pain or tension there. Consciously relax it. Now move on to your legs, your thighs, knees, calves, ankles, feet, and toes. Breathe to your own rhythm and notice any pain or tension. Relax these areas on an exhale. Let your whole body become soft and relaxed. do a quick scan of your internal organs. Notice if you feel anything here. Does anything feel heavy, tired, sad, angry? Review any of the areas that you are holding on to, past tension, pain, trauma, or discomfort. Now that you've identified any areas in your body that are still holding on to something, I want you to zero in on those areas and gently release it. Send it on its way if it doesn't go easily. Know that you are safe, and it is safe to let those hurts from the past go. Let the universe take it from you. Once you've released what you no longer need to carry, notice how light you feel. You now have space to welcome in the new. With that, I want you to call on your higher self, your guides, ancestors, the divine, or whoever or whatever is there for you and your greatest good. What do you notice? Is it a feeling? Do you see someone or something? Take your time to identify what you are noticing. Now, using your inside voice, I want you to ask what it is you need to grow, to be the best version of yourself. What do you need to do to become this best version of yourself? As we prepare to return to our bodies, take a few grounding breaths, deep breaths. Allow yourself to feel your body as you return to your seat. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Move your head to the left and the right. Stretch your spine and your arms and legs. When you are ready, open your eyes and return. That was a lot this time around. So I'm not surprised that we're all fucking exhausted. It boggles my mind how sensitive we all are and feel exactly what it says we're going to feel. It kills me every time. All right, well, the full moon. No, it's not. Oh God. It's April 1st. Oh no. This is Mother Nature's way of like playing a joke on us. Oh dear Lord. Also a Wednesday, so I guess we'll try to get together then. Wow. I can't even imagine what's in store for us now. All right, well, with that, I think I'll give you guys some time back. Thank you. I'm constantly blown away by how relevant this information seems to be every time. I think the more I look into things, the you know, as you all know, the more you look at something, the more something else related seems to find its way to you. And it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and more information. It's like never ending. Just when you think you know something. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay. Bye.